Good evening, everybody. It's me, Eric. To my gamer friends, it's Devin Donder. And to all you beautiful people out there recovering from a happy holiday of Thanksgiving food, and preparing for a work week after maybe a few days off, it's Gumball Head. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Y'all doing well? Great. Good. I'm full of smiles right now because as I speak to you guys watching this, there's a news broadcast happening on Channel 3, live, WWMT Live, where they interviewed me. I think it's today. That's what I understood. I could be wrong. I'm going to have to wait till later, but Channel 3 is doing a series right now called Addicted Michigan. And I was asked to be a part of it. And today, in that broadcast that they are going to be doing, if it is today, if it hasn't already happened, or if it's not going to be until 11, regardless, it'll be available on their website. But I actually talked about the advocacy for first responders and public safety and their mental health options. So that's going to be talked about today. It's going to be something that I talk about. I've got a few things to talk about today, but for the most part, I mean, I'm pretty happy today. I read something today that a friend of mine wrote on their Facebook page, and that said, "The weather doesn't determine the beauty of the day, you do." And I like corny stuff, and this was really corny, and I thought it was a beautiful, beautiful statement. I'm going to move this camera. I apologize. But the way that I'm set up right now, it's like way off to one side, and it's kind of bothering me. I don't like to cover up the gumball, but let's face it, we all know what it looks like. And if you don't, you can get a sticker. We'll talk more about those here in a little bit, but we'll talk about those in a bit. But anyways, so yeah, that cheesy stuff. I like cheesy stuff sometimes. Sometimes I don't. Usually I don't bring in memes or anything into the broadcasts. A lot of love today. Appreciate you. But anyway, so yeah. So we're going to talk about police, fire, EMS, judicial system, legal system. We're going to talk about paramedics, EMTs. We're going to talk about police dogs. I know, right? But first, I want to talk about something. Someone actually sent me an email, and the email was simply this. It was a long email, actually. But this email went on to talk about agreeing and disagreeing with a lot of things that I say on my Gumball Head broadcasts. And I have to agree with them in the fact that they disagree with so much. Because disagreement creates conversation. Disagreement creates conversation and a positive resolve in the end, as long as both parties are open-minded. And I love it when people give me a little bit of feedback or pushback regarding the topics that I talk about. Sometimes I get messages. I do get hate mail, by the way, of people telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, here's the thing. I'm talking about it and you're not. And it's seen through my eyes, not yours. It doesn't mean I'm not going to appreciate or respect your decision. But until you start broadcasting weekly, talking about things that you do know about, I'm sorry, but it's a conversation. So it was one-sided because as soon as I sent a reply, there was unknown sender. So I don't know if it was a spam or what, but someone I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it was one of those things where it's just kind of like you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, well, okay. That's fine. I respect that. So let's talk about, well, we already talked about the news. So keep an eye out. Jump on the website, wwmt.com, and check out their Addicted Michigan series. Don't just look at mine. Look at all of them. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Like I said in the comments here, There's a lot of great content on there, and it's normal everyday people talking about the problems that they foresee going on in America today, and particularly Michigan. And a lot of people don't understand how much effect that the opioid epidemic does have on our public safety officers and our first responders. And a lot of people don't understand how much this recreational marijuana thing is going to have an effect on them either. So it's legal as of today to walk into a dispensary and purchase it recreationally. Now, I haven't investigated a whole lot into it because I just haven't. But I imagine it's very much like walking into a liquor store and buying alcohol. But I know that there are only certain dispensaries in the state of Michigan that you can purchase this from. And right now, I believe the only dispensaries are available in Ann Arbor. I have seen some rhetoric on Facebook regarding a couple of dispensaries in Ann Arbor where people are walking in. But let's face it, folks, most of the people that are doing this, and they're doing it the right way, they're doing it for the experience to see what it's like. Okay. Because chances are, if they're a marijuana smoker, they hadn't been buying it from a dispensary anyways. And if they had, then they were a card holder and they went into their dispensary and did things the right way. And then there's the illegal side of things where they just buy it from their local, everyday, normal drug dealer. So how is that going to work long term? I don't know. But in Colorado, it was successful because they taxed the businesses, but they did not tax the product. They did not tax the revenue. They taxed a business tax so they could get around the federal ruling for taxation. I hope that is what they anticipate doing. I just hope that our politicians allocate the funds appropriately to where they said that they were going to put them. My suggestion would be the schools, not the roads, because that's what our gasoline tax is supposed to be used for and the lottery tax is supposed to be used for. But I would really like to see that taxation help out our teachers and our educators. Why do I say that? Because who better to educate our youth than the people that they spend so much time during the week with? Teachers and educators, talking about stuff like marijuana and alcohol. As we all know, in my past broadcasts, we've discussed about a lot of our problems stem from our youth. Of course, you got to wait till 6th grade to have sex education, which now is what, family choices or something like that. But let's be realistic here. A lot of the stuff that we learned in school was probably from a magazine or a book or what our friends told us, and most of that stuff is wrong. Because they're 6th graders too, all the way on up. We learn by experience, from experimentation. We learn by mistake. We learn by accident. And that is the nature of education when it's not out of a book. I learned better in my college classes, seeing it done, looking at YouTube, seeing it done, having a professor explain to me, or I read. I do a lot of research in college, but in high school, I didn't care. Middle school, I didn't care. Most of the time, our educators showed us how to do things. So how does that tie into what tonight is? Well, law enforcement had to learn a whole new book of rules. Public safety had to learn a whole new book of rules, and everybody involved had to learn a whole new book of rules. And now with like opiates, they can reverse the effects of opiates with Narcan, but what is the reversing effects of marijuana? How is our dosage rate going to change? How are the police officers going to be dealing with people that are driving under the influence? It's a whole other line of problems. Now, I know that this broadcast particularly probably does not appeal to some people out there, but I would say the majority of the people out there are going to appreciate this, because whether we realize it or not, our public safety people are the ones that are out there in their front lines, and they're seeing all of these things. And they're doing all of these things. And what we see them doing, and when we catch them in a moment of downtime, for example, sleeping in an ambulance in a Target parking lot, there's people that want to complain about that. And then there's people that understand that. And when I spoke to the broadcaster on the news, I especially and explicitly stated that what people see is them sleeping in an ambulance in a parking lot. But what they don't understand is there might have been a really good chance that you just ran an hour-long cardiac arrest. Your adrenaline is depleted, and dispatch gave you a rest. I know tonight is going to get some pushback, and I'm expecting it. And if you don't want to talk to me on here, gumballheadkzoo@gmail.com. Feel free to send me your email. I will either agree or disagree with you, and I'll tell you why I disagree. I'll agree, and we'll leave it at that. So I'm stating it this way because I have a feeling that some of this new stuff is going to create some curiosity based on observation, on my intelligence, on your intelligence, on the people that share with me. So stepping into that, I made an observation recently. It was kind of cool. I was talking to somebody, and they had stated to me that that recently they stepped away from their Vivitrol shot. Vivitrol, to those who don't know, is a shot given to alcoholics to cure the cravings and to assist with recovery in alcohol. And if you do drink while taking Vivitrol, you feel sick, you feel ill. There are other drugs out there like Antabuse and others, but Vivitrol is a shot you can get. The crappy thing about it is it's very expensive, and insurance will cover, I think, 3 shots per year on standard. Like my insurance, my health insurance will cover 3 shots a year. Those shots range 45 to 90 days. My company covers the 90-day one, I believe. So you can get 6 months worth of shots on your insurance. And after that, I think it's $260. I've never used it. I can't tell you anything about the side effects. I can't tell you anything about the way that it makes you feel. I can only tell you in the conversations that I've had with people that if you do drink while you're on Vivitrol, it blocks the effects of the alcohol, and it's basically a waste of your time. So, but insurance is making some of those things very difficult to deal with. So I'm going through my list here just to get to the meat and the potatoes. Oh yes, here, this is very important. Jumping to a different topic real quick. I did get a lot of pushback too from my take on internet dating. I think I addressed it a little bit last week, but I've had a few more correspondences in the fact that my take on it is wrong. I appreciate it. I apologize if I offended anybody. However, I'm holding fast in my assertions in my observations of internet dating. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just the way I see things is a little bit different than everybody else. And internet dating is one of those things where it's just kind of like, yeah, okay. Just an experience, conversation. I've never dated anybody off the internet. So let's see here. Let's keep moving. I really want to get into the whole being present in the present with presence. So just knock these things out. Okay, so here we go. At a meeting today, the conversation was this. One of the members at our meeting was self-proclaimed not an addict. And after hearing this person talk, I explained to them, you do realize that you're giving me a lot of information here that shows me that you are, in fact, an addict. And they said, I want you to tell me why. Well, actually, they didn't say that, but I explained why anyways. And here's what the outcome was. Telling me their story in particular, after they got done speaking, I said, you know, here's the thing. I do feel that you're an addict. You're codependent. And I said it last week. I said it on posts. I've said it in emails. I've said it on my blog. I said it on my Facebook page. We're all codependent on something or someone. Whether we realize it or not, we are. The downside to codependency is we are always going to rely on that. And it's always going to be positive. In a negative domestic situation, we're always going to rely on our significant other in order to make us feel better in the times that they need to make us feel better, or they make us feel like shit because they're a jerk. But it just depends, okay? In a work relationship, you try to rely on your boss and you hope that your boss is going to go up to bat for you. But if you don't make those assertions and you don't step up to the plate, they're never going to feel 100% confident that you're behind them. I just posted on one of my business profiles, remove your ego, remove your pride, and remove your title. Work side by side with your people, train them, teach them, and work with them instead of make them work for you. And that's how leadership is created. And then when you get promoted, bring them with you. That's a working relationship that can last long term. No one gets left behind. even in the workforce. And if your boss isn't working with you and you're working for your boss, then your boss is hands down a freaking dick, period. You know, if they're not giving you the tools to make you successful to replace them, they're never going to get promoted. That's the way it works. That's all there is to it. If they're putting you in a position where you're going to step into their shoes someday, they're never going to step up. They're just going to dogmouth you and make you feel like shit, and they're going to treat you poorly until you quit, until they get somebody else in there that's going to deal with their BS and make them look better. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the belief philosophy that I have. Used to, I had never thought that way. I didn't used to feel that way. Now I do. It's like, teach your people, train them, bring them with you. And I never would have gotten to that point had I not had a boss that did that exact same thing and explained to me why they were doing the things that they do. I have faith in you. I have confidence in you. I believe in you. And look at where I'm at. I got promoted. Great. Fantastic. Now I'm a supervisor, but I don't use that title. I don't like using that title. I'm a coworker, and that's what I am. And what you don't know, I'll teach you. And if you're having problems learning that, then I'll come up with a creative way to teach you how to do it. If you're not successful, then I'm not successful. That works in relationships and recovery too. So that codependency, everybody's addicted to that. Everybody relies on something or someone in order to help them out in life. So if you don't think that you're codependent, do this little trick, do this little task, this little personal challenge. Kill everybody in the world. Kill every single person on the planet except for you. Now what? Where's your heart? You look around, and I said it last week, that movie with Will Smith, you look around, there's nobody there. Nobody alive. You know, and I got that from a Netflix movie. Nobody around. Now what? You're bored. Maybe not for the first 3 or 4 weeks. And, oh, well, I'll travel anywhere I want to in the world. Well, who's going to take you there? Who's going to fly you? Who's going to pump your gas when you get 10 miles out of town and you run out of gas? What are you going to do? Jump out of your car and jump into another car and car hop until you get to California? How are you going to get to China and see that place, or France? Okay, we rely on other people to make our lives go. Whether we realize it or not, that's codependency, because we rely on somebody else. We rely on other people to make things happen. You know, okay, so that's our codependency approach to things. I actually have written down here word for word: if everyone dies, how long will it take? How long will you last? How do we entertain ourselves, and what would you do? So as this person and I were having this conversation, I came into a second conversation. It was simply this: I'm listening to you as an addict talk as a non-addict, and dealing with the things that are happening in your life, and failing health of a family member, and of dealing with a terrible marriage, a terrible domestic situation, and dealing with low income, and dealing with the fact that you're raising children, and this and that and the other thing. I'm not trying to give away a whole lot of information here, but you know who you are. And I told you I was going to talk about this tonight. But I'm listening to this person delineate all of these things and come up with concepts and ideas, and I could just see the gears turning. Holy shit, he's right. Or maybe it was, holy shit, he's crazy. Who knows? But at the end of the conversation, I was listening to this person as an addict going, I'd have gotten drunk there, I'd have gotten drunk there, I'd have gotten drunk there. I might have gotten high here. But this person wasn't even thinking about that stuff. And then I started talking about the things that happened to me over the course of the last year. And it's like, okay, I did this, I went through this, I handled this. You know, my dad died, my dog got put to sleep. You know, I got promotion, that's great, but now I have to drive. This happened, that happened. But here's the thing, I did it sober. And last week I talked about reprogramming your brain. And today I was driving home from this meeting, or actually from a grocery store after I picked up a few items. And I was just thinking to myself, I could get away with using. I could get away with not telling the truth. I could get away with a lot of things in life. But I'm not that person anymore. I want to be independent. I want to be trustworthy. And I am trustworthy. I am independent, but now I'm in that part of my recovery where I'm proving. The proof is in the pudding here, okay? And I'm peeling a little foil top off the pudding cups. Do they even do foil anymore? I don't know. Snack packs are cellophane now. So they're peeling the top off that pudding cup, and we're spoon feeding each other information. And I just kind of thought to myself, wow, it's kind of neat that that I'm starting to see life as a sober person, and I'm starting to see life as people that are non-addicts. So I need to do my shout outs real quick. I'm going to do 2 today. So I want to do just quick shout out after ending that thought. First one, Fallen Firefighter Federation. They take donations year round. This is the time of year where you can just donate. You can do it anonymously. It's a tax write-off. You just go there and donate $5. Just do that. And you don't have to tell them I sent you or anything. I'm giving love to random people every week, starting 3 weeks ago. Now I'm just trying to get that ball rolling, self-promotion for these companies through my website. And the second thing is my friend, he's got a website called Something Bigger Than Yourself. Check that out. That he donates time and money out of his own time and wallet, and takes charitable contributions for orphanages in the Alton, Illinois, and Iowa areas. Iowa. But he gives musical instruments and food and stockings and Easter baskets, and he's just an incredible guy. Something Bigger Than Yourself. I believe the website is somethingbiggerthanyourself.org. If you find it, it's got a dude on a skateboard on the front that says Something Bigger Than Yourself. That's it. And the Fallen Firefighters, that is for firefighters who have died in the line of duty. The money goes towards the families. So take care of your fellow person. Take care of your fellow human. If you got a little bit spare, do it. If you don't, just think about it. Go check out their website, because website hits are imperative to people who run a business, because they know that the word is getting out there. They know that there's promotion happening, even if it's a stumble upon, which happens to me on occasion. But I watch my stats regularly on my Gumball Head web page, and I just kind of see, how things are going there. So ending that. So difficulties in sobriety long term. My goodness. So here is a excellent example of being present in the present moment. Another friend of mine went to a show recently, a concert recently, and their friends were talking about, while they were partying, and this person is sober, and they went to the show and they said that they were sober the entire time, and their friends were urging them to partake in the alcohol and the marijuana and other things that were going on for this concert. And my sober friend said, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm coming up on X amount of time sober, and I'm really proud of myself, and I want to maintain that sobriety. And it sounds like after a couple of times of saying no, they just let it go. But don't be a dick. If your friend's in recovery, let them recover. Let them be themselves. Don't push it on them. Offer them once, and when they say no, leave it alone. Gosh. But being present in the moment, to understand that I'm finally enjoying a show sober. It's tough to do if you're the type of person that drinks a lot. It's very tough to do, to go to a show, the first show when you're sober. Let me rephrase that. It's tough to do whether you're sober or not, but going to a show, your first show once entering recovery, is difficult if you're a drinker, because that was difficult for me, myself, personally. But I made it through it, and I've gone to multiple shows since then, and I've been sober for every single one of them. And I will continue to go to these shows because I remember everything that happened, and I was like, oh, do you remember when the dude spun his drumsticks like this and like blew fire out of his nose? It was super cool. So those are some of those things that I observe, and my friends are like, no, didn't see that. I was in the bar line or beer line, so don't miss those awesome opportunities. When I went with Waffle to see Rancid, my goodness, there were so many drunk people there, and you could just see how high some of those people were. And it was like, Christ's sake, really? Did you even remember you were at this show? My goodness, have a beer or two and call it good. You don't have to get stupid, stumbling drunk. Leave that up to the guys on stage, and when you get done, hit the bar. But while you're at the show, enjoy the show. Be in the moment. Be present. Be there. Love everything that is surrounding you. And we need to do that in our everyday lives too. Okay, so we're going to hit the meat right here. 25 minutes in. I got to hit it. We spend so much time worrying about our future and so much time dwelling on our past that we lose sight of all of the things that are important in our lives. We lose sight of all of those things that are right in front of you, whether it's friendships or relationships or opportunities in our lives. And if we worry too much about tomorrow, or we think too much about yesterday, we miss those opportunities that are right in front of us right now. Okay, regardless of what it is. And I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. Everybody watching this is guilty of it. We do that stuff sometimes. But the truth behind it is if you are not experiencing positive moments in your life right now, change those moments. Again, I said it recently, but change those moments. If things aren't going well for you, change it. Change those things that suck in your life and fix them. So I like saying this: adapt, overcome, and execute. That's number one thing that I say. And it's difficult for a lot of people in recovery or not, but we have a hard time being honest with ourselves. And that's the first part of all of this. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest that you have a problem. You have to be honest that you want a solution. You have to be honest that you're going to do your best to change. And if you fail, it's okay. It's expected. People fuck up all the time. Acknowledge your mistakes and move on. Okay. Someday people are going to get fed up with your bullshit and they're going to freaking cast you out of their lives. But that's okay. If you're okay with that, then let them be okay with casting you out of their lives, because they're not comfortable with themselves. Be honest in longevity. Okay. When I say longevity, what I'm saying is this is catering more to the sober people in recovery. Be honest, from point A to now, have you been sober that entire time? Have you thought about using? Because I think about it all the time, but I don't think about going to the liquor store. I think about, what can I do right now to get rid of that? And usually that urging passes quite quickly, usually, but I talked about it recently too, that relapse is part of recovery. One, hold on. Number two, as long as you use it as a tool,